Hi everyone. This presentation, I'm going to share my tips to make a better tech presentation. It's based on my experiences, so some might not work for some of you, but I really hope it's helpful for everyone, especially for people who haven't done any tech presentation or have been preparing very first presentation. Last December, I shared my side project at Women Who Code Seoul as a presenter. I've always wanted to contribute to the female engineering group, so it was really an honor. The event was quite successful. More than 100 people participated in live streaming, and it was really fun and worthy. A couple of weeks later, I got an email from organizer of Global Diversity CFP Day. Yes, here I am for the presentation. One of audience from the events I mentioned suggested me that I will be a good fit for the presentation of this. This is my first time got a request from the global event, so I was so excited. Like I said, I did my talk pretty good last time, so I was so confident of having a good talk. Anyone familiar with this graph? This is Dunning-Kruger curve. You can Google it later for the more information, but in short, people with abilities tend to underestimate their abilities, but people without abilities tend to overestimate their abilities. I think this curve is exactly the same as my confidence. Get back to my confidence curve. I was on the top of graph before working on anything for the presentation. I think most of speakers are very same when they just got accepted their talk at the conference. But as you expect, after I started to prepare the talk, okay, about this topic, I know this, but I don't know about that. I know this, but again, I don't know this. And should I give up? Yes, we get there. We nearly hit the bottom from the top. The story begins from here. Before moving on to the sad story, let me introduce myself. I'm today's presenter, Jiyeon, software engineer from South Korea. You can find me on Twitter and check out my account in the slide. Yes, we are at the bottom now, but the good news is, regarding what I just mentioned, we will get more confident at the end of this talk. Sounds good? For that, I will cover two parts, content and on the stage. The first is about the presentation contents. Okay, how do I start? You are probably think of many things at the moment. Story should be fun and organized. So introduction should cover this and that. In the main part, I should put this and that here and there and so on. So tip number one, don't make a whole story at once. You never get a good story at once. It's impossible. So one of common mistake when preparing for the first presentation is starting with making the first slide. You haven't finished the first slide yet, but you may be overwhelmed by thinking of all the process you have to do next. Then how to make a story. Don't think about the story first. Just put aside ordering steps or anything. Just take any ideas out of your head and take a note. On the right side, that's my notes I used for when I'm preparing for this talk. These are a bunch of ideas that I came across and scribbled down. You can use this when you are preparing for the CFP day as well. For example, if you want to be a presenter at the PyCon conference, write all about the Python project you did. troubleshootings, what you studied, or anything. You may come up with a good topic. Based on these ideas, try to group them and find keywords. You might be able to see some stories. If not, then idea again. So more ideas about the group, about the keywords. Repeat this process over and over and over again until you can see the story. You think the story makes sense, then it's time to make slide. Let's talk about slide. Create an overall slide structure first and then add more details later. This is the structure I usually use for my talk, so you can use this if you need. For those of you who are familiar with HTML, I divide it into 3 parts with head, body, footer. Let's take a closer look. In the head, start with a title page first and tell a story of motivation. People usually put speaker introduction right after the title page, but actually I prefer this structure. At the beginning of the presentation, most of audience are not yet focused, so they possibly won't remember who you are. So talk about the motivation first, and people will think, oh, it's an interesting story. So who's the presenter? And ta-da, your introduction page. It's more effective to promote yourself. In the body, I highly recommend to use agenda so audience can expect your overall presentation, so it makes them more interesting on that. Don't have to make detailed slide in this step, just put the keywords from your notes. In the footer, put the slide that emphasize the key message. After getting your skeleton slide done, grab more ideas on that and structure them and put them into slides. Overall, preparing the talk is like this process. If you think you're making a car at the beginning, you will really want to give up before you arrive to the end. The incomplete car won't work for you, but skateboard or bicycle would not that awesome like a car, but they will take you all the way to making a presentation complete. So aim to make skateboard first. Let's say you want to make 30 minutes long presentation, then make a 5-minute long and just key message and no story first. Start by quickly creating clumsy but completed contents and see what you can do to improve it. Especially if you are preparing for the conference has strict time limit, it will be really helpful. Tip number 2, single responsibility on one slide. If you are interested in OP, object-oriented programming, you might heard about SOLID principle. Single responsibility, which is the first S in SOLID, can be borrowed when creating slides. How about these slides? Too much information on one slide, right? Please don't read this one. This is just nothing. The audience should see you explaining things, not to read a document on the screen. If they are doing that, why didn't you just send a document to them instead, right? We have limited CPU in our brain. If I'm in the middle of explaining something and then a slide like this comes up, the audience will turn to the slide and start reading and trying to find what it means, and they won't listen to you. So we have to give a single responsibility to the slide. So the topic you want to cover is a class. So dot points are interface, So you don't have to implement all the text code on the slide. Just put the core message you really want to give to the audience. So last, your talk is implementation. So your talk have to cover interface. It looks much better than previous one, right? Actually, I prefer simpler like this. I just put title, main points, and details with each slide. Firstly, it's good because fewer points to cover in one slide, so less likely to miss what I need to talk. The text is quite big, so for the audience, they don't have to read, just capture to know what I'm going to say. And I use only 2 or 3 colors, black for the background and white, yellow for highlighting, and sometimes red and green. You can save time in this way because you don't have to too much worry about decorating, right? You will figure out the best format fits for you. So the thing you have to remember here is don't write a script on a slide. Make sure that slides are as simple as possible but contains the core message. Next, tip number 3 is code snippet. This is the real code I used for my talk before. It's fully functional, working well code, but can you get it what this code means? I don't think so. I think I don't have to explain more about this, right? We've already talked about a single responsibility and this. Too many responsibility on one slide and I can read this. How about this? You can read this code is something about Twitter and using Twitter clients to get a user timeline with screen name parameters. People don't need to know whole code, so remove code which is not related with the topic, like constructor or utils for handling data types or something like that. The audience cannot build the code with their brain, then why should we care about syntax? Let's ignore it. Don't forget to highlight the code. It helps to make it more readable. To do this, you can copy and paste with style, but I highly recommend to use image because PowerPoint or Keynote are not for code. So if you fix text or slide, can change indentation in code or make code formatting weird. I usually use Carbon, which is a service to create a code image with various styles. And if you want to share your code, whole code, then add GitHub address in the below. People might find the link after your talk. And about the address, don't use a short URL for GitHub. GitHub.com and your account slash repository name is way easier to remember than random text. So the audience can Google it later, even though they don't have your slide yet. Tip number 4 is practice with yourself, friend, and teammates. Practice yourself to get used to your content. Remember when you were driving for the first time? Someone sitting next to you asked to turn on the radio, but you couldn't, right? Because you need to focus on driving. But a few months later, you can control anything unconsciously, like radio, volume, or whatever. It's same. No one know what will happen during the presentation. So you have to practice until when you see the slide, you immediately speak out without thinking too much to find things you can do better. If you don't out loud, the content looks totally okay in your brain because our brain is so clever. Brain wants to stop this tedious work, of course. So it keeps telling us that it's good enough. Let's just watch Netflix. But if you practice with speaking out loud yourself, there will be some awkward and ridiculous part on your slide. It's always important to get new perspectives and opinions. So let's ask your friends and teams to help. Actually, I want to emphasize the second one to show your passion and knowledge. It's January, maybe review season for some of you, right? Every time you probably ask yourself, like, how can I show that I work so hard, but I don't want to brag too much? Why don't you just ask to your teammates that you are preparing for the presentation and need their feedback? You will be able to let them know that you are interested in some tech field and have knowledge and experience about that. If you are a minor in the group, you probably don't have many opportunity to show your passion. I've seen a lot of female and junior engineers struggling with this. So use this chance. If you ask for help like this way, then you can brag without bragging. You can continue to receive feedback and check yourself, update your slide over and over again. You will make the content better and better. Okay, preparing content, practice yourself, practice with your friend, update and over again. You are getting confident, and the day of presentation has finally come. However, when your turn is coming, you will start to get nervous all of a sudden. It's always happening. Let's talk about tips you can use on the stage. Tip number one, script or no script. You might heard that script is unnecessary for the perfect talk. So it's poor interaction with audience and loss of their concentration. Okay, so what? Our goal of Burgeon Skate is to finish the presentation well. So if you are nervous, you can use a script. It's okay. Done is better than perfect. Keep that in mind. So just go ahead. Tip number two, make a hint for the next slide. It's going to be a lot of relief that you know about the next slide. So usually people get nervous because they don't know about what should I talk after this. So if you have dual monitors, then it's fine. But in case you need to be away from the monitor, then hide a hint for the next slide on the right bottom side. Write it in a color that can see well, like gray or something like that. This is an example, so I use a bright color, but in the real presentation, you can make it more blurry. It's going to be a lot of relief. Tip number three, considerations for online talk. I think you heard a lot about offline speech, voice, gesture, eye contact, pause, speed, like should be like that or something. After COVID, there are a lot of conferences changed from offline to online. Even small meetups are online now. But I think we are still working on this. No one has best practices. For me, it's still very awkward even now. But I'd like to share what I've learned from the online events in last year. Even if even if it's streaming live presentation, you cannot see faces of the audience, and the only thing you can see is screen. That's it. So it can be really awkward when you do it for the first time. Yeah, I know. Only way to solve this problem is actually practice. So practice over and over and record yourself and check them before the event. Plus, even in the streaming live presentation, don't ask a question to the audience during the talk because it will have some latency problems, so it's not gonna work like you think. And next one is about network. Be sure that your network is fine. That is essential. And prepare sharing data with your phone if you can. Do you want to see what happens if you don't check your network before the online talk? Here's what happened to me. It was a Skype, and I believe there's some configuration to fix this one, but I didn't know that at the time. See, so please check how to set video quality and network configuration in case you don't want to make a funny TikTok video during your talk like this. I gave you every tips I have, so are you ready? It's your turn. Still afraid? Why? Are you worried that people are laughing at you? No, I know because I have participated in tech conference a lot, and if the presentation wasn't good, I just forget about it. Remember, people who cares about you, they will be so proud of you. Then what is the worst situation we have to worry? Dying on the stage? It won't happen. Believe me, I have never heard any news that the presenter died because they screwed up their talk, at least in tech conferences. Then still it's so hard. Yes, of course, because we still need more experiences. Then what's the solution? Here's what I did to make more experiences. Commit first and figure it out later. Of course, I was not a good presenter. I started this kind of activity as a step in the tech group first and just had some talk when there's no volunteer for the meetups or conferences. I was really bad at this, but I was getting used to it. At some point, people around me started asking me if I would make a presentation. And most of the time, I just said yes and then figure out later. We will never be ready. There is no perfect time like, yes, I'm ready for my very first talk. It will be perfect. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. So do something first, successful or not, and the next opportunity comes after that. To be honest with you, every single moment on the stage was so painful, but it's always worth it. Sometimes, of course, I failed, but I didn't get fired or any bad things happened to me because of my failure. It was actually the opposite. People around me were encouraging me to have another talk. If you get through it, you will grow up and get more benefits like promotion, job offers, and anything. Still afraid of feeling failed? In fact, feeling you have failed means that you know how to do it better next time. Let's say you feel bad because your voice wasn't loud enough. You may not notice that before you have a talk. It means you've just got a chance to grow up that the other cannot realize. No one can be a good speaker without failure and improvement. This is the end of today's talk. Thank you for listening. And here's my last tip. Enjoy the stage. You deserve it. Thank you.